Welcome to the Reconnection Club podcast, the show that helps parents heal troubled relationships with their adult sons and daughters. I'm your host, psychotherapist Tina Gilbertson. Each week, I'll offer you compassion, clarity, and personal development tips designed to help you reconnect, not only with your child, but with yourself. Now let's get started. As living organisms, we intuitively seek balance between activity and rest. We tend to be at our best in life when there's time for us to be awake and a time to sleep, a time to eat and a time to digest, a time for movement and a time to be still. But when you're unwillingly estranged from your adult child or children, it's very easy to fall out of a natural balance between activity and rest. Part of the ongoing misery of this type of relationship trouble is that lack of balance. The loss of your mental, emotional, and physical equilibrium is in itself distressing. But it's hard to find balance when the situation remains so painfully out of control and threatens your sense of well-being. How can any of us find balance when we have what feels like a slow-motion emergency unfolding in our lives? That's what estrangement can feel like. So first, if you're having a hard time balancing activity with rest during estrangement, give yourself grace. You're doing what you can in difficult circumstances. But once you recognize that you have fallen out of balance, you may consciously try to ease the strain on your system by regaining some of that lost equilibrium. You don't have to wait for the estrangement to end before attempting to rebalance. For most parents I speak with, that means adding more rest, not more activity. I'll get more specific about that, though, in a minute. But first, let's look at how to know if you're getting stuck on one side or the other, being too active or too passive during estrangement, instead of balanced between the two. If you feel like you're on high alert too much of the time, if your thoughts tend to be dominated by your estranged adult child or children, then you are almost certainly lacking sufficient rest. Your brain and nervous system are activated in a state of mental and emotional intensity, demanding but not allowing the relief of rest. For parents in this state, overdoing is more of a danger than underdoing. Spending too much time on the activity side, even mentally, can create undue stress on the body. We're not designed to be in the on position all or even most of the time. Like any other system, we can get worn out from overuse. It's estimated that stress creates the majority of conditions that send people to seek medical attention. Now, switching gears for a moment, what if you feel like all you do is rest and you can't seem to get moving to try to repair the relationships that need your attention? Well, my first question for you is, have you really been resting? Or have you been paralyzed by feeling powerless or afraid or demoralized? Once we've had sufficient rest, we don't have to do anything to become active again. Activity follows rest the way day follows night. It's natural. Paralysis is not rest, but it might be a sign that rest is sorely needed. Just because you haven't reached out lately to your no-contact adult child doesn't mean you've been resting. You may be highly stressed on the inside, and we know that stress can be eased and repaired with proper rest and relaxation. By far, the majority of parents I speak with need more rest than they're getting. Estrangement from your own child or children takes a toll not only physically and emotionally, but mentally and spiritually. Restoring personal balance is something on which you can make progress even during estrangement. And I'm pleased to say it can be light work. No matter what happens in your other relationships, your connection to your own heart, mind, and body can be lovingly tended if you decide it matters enough. I've learned over time that not everybody knows how to rest, even if they want to. I wrote an article about balancing activity with rest, which contains 7 ideas about rest. I'll go through those briefly right now, but you can read the article anytime at reconnectionclub.com/balance. Rest idea number 1. Do the bare minimum. You have to feed and walk your dog every day. Beyond that, though, how much can you get away with not doing? There's a link in that balance article to another article I wrote that's all about doing the bare minimum. Number 2, meditation and/or prayer. These are active forms of rest that connect you with your source and help you feel whole again. Number 3, hobbies you enjoy. Pleasant activities are relaxing to the nervous system. They send signals of safety, because you wouldn't be quilting or doing a jigsaw puzzle if your house was on fire. Hobbies may be physically active while still being restful to the soul. So if you need permission to quote-unquote waste time with a favorite hobby, you've got it. Do it in the name of restoring balance. Number 4, sleep. Sleep is obviously crucial. If you're having trouble with sleep, that is, in my opinion, a slow-motion emergency unfolding in your life. Please talk to your doctor or see if there's a sleep clinic near you. Estrangement is hard enough without sleep deprivation adding to your suffering. Number 5, crying. We wouldn't cry tears from emotional pain unless it had some biological advantage. I'm adding crying to the rest list because although crying is active, it's also a pressure valve for releasing tension. Make sure it's a good cry, not a self-critical one. If you need pointers on crying well, check out my first book, Constructive Wallowing: How to Beat Bad Feelings by Letting Yourself Have Them. Number 6, intermittent fasting. It takes a lot of energy for our bodies to digest food. So many people, including me, avoid eating for a reasonable period of time, at least a few days a week. Leaving 16 hours between dinner and breakfast is one way to do this. If that sounds like too much, you can still give your body a rest by simply not snacking between meals. But talk to your doctor before changing the way you eat to make sure it's safe for you. And one last idea for rest is this, my personal favorite, slow breathing. We can actually use our lungs to command our brain and nervous system to stand down from red alert. Slow breathing happens spontaneously whenever we're relaxed, so it's linked in the brain to a state of relaxation. When I'm upset, I find it easier to consciously slow my breathing than to try to calm down mentally. So those are 7 ideas to bring more rest to the equation. Restoring balance may not be easy during an unwanted estrangement, but I hope I've convinced you that it's not only okay to rest during estrangement, but that it's absolutely necessary to regain some balance if you want to face the problem of estrangement with your best foot forward. Until next time, remember that you are a loving, lovable, and still growing human being. So please take good care of yourself. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Reconnection Club podcast, I invite you to check out reconnectionclub.com. The Reconnection Club is for parents at any stage of estrangement from their adult, child, or children. So whether you've just realized there's trouble between you, you've been living with estrangement for years, or you're newly reconciled but still walking on eggshells, the Reconnection Club is your essential resource for information, support, and continued personal growth. With our courses and workshops, expert interviews, monthly Q&A calls, and a friendly, active community, the Reconnection Club is a wonderful place to be for anyone suffering the pain of estrangement from an adult, child, or children. So check it out at reconnectionclub.com.